She is a relentless campaigner to get people out of their cars and onto public transport. She is one of the stars of a hit TV detective series, Castle, and her latest role sees this versatile actress reliving the heady days of the legendary CBGB club in New York. We're about to meet Stana Katic, who is with Peter Bowes in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Rod. Good evening from Los Angeles, and welcome to Stana Katic, who is with me. Welcome back, in fact.
Thank you, yeah.
We talked, what was it, a couple of years ago, about the alternative travel project, which you're involved in, your efforts to get people to leave their cars at home, explore alternative means of travel, and it's a project that's blossomed in the last couple of years since we spoke to you. And I know there are lots of people listening to this around the world, and I know because they've been tweeting me over the last 24 hours, because they knew you were coming on the program, and they've been telling me about their alternative travel projects, inspired by the work that you've been doing here in Los Angeles. So we'll get to that in a second, but actually I'd first of all like to talk about CBGB, the movie, about the, as Rod said, the legendary nightclub in New York, which found itself at the center of the alternative music scene back in the 1970s. Blondie, Talking Heads, the Ramones, Lou Reed, who passed away at the weekend. They were all there in their day. How did you get involved in this project?
A friend of mine told me that they were creating this piece, and of course it was about, music history, so I wanted to be a part of it. I really didn't care what size the role, I just wanted to be a part of a piece that was talking about music history, and specifically music history that, kind of became the mecca of punk rock for North America and brought about great bands like the Ramones, as you said, and Television and Talking Heads and Lou Reed and so on.
Quite a cast list. Alan Rickman, Rupert Grint is in this film, Freddie Rodriguez as well. A great cast, and really sweet, well prepared, excited cast. It was impressive to see everyone come with a tremendous amount of research done and just fully committed work. It's tough, to perform on stage in front of a group of extras and to play as if it was the raucous nightclub that it was. And then on top of that, we had a lot of the people who were actually at the nightclub, who were a part of some of the bands that we were creating, come to the set while we were filming and tell us some of the behind-the-scenes stories. And people keep coming up out of the woodwork as I've been traveling and talking about the movie, and they've been telling me just fantastic stories about what happened, sometimes showing me photos that they would never show publicly, but letting me in on a bit of what happened in that club. And it's really great. It was just really great because it broke through a lot of kind of societal norms. And I think it was a special piece of music history for a lot of people. Were you a fan of that era?
I don't think you can love music as much as I do without enjoying the groups that came out of that club. So it was a great pleasure to be able to listen and see people kind of reenact, like I said, the Ramones and Talking Heads and so on, and just know the music that I've been listening to. And I think it was a great opportunity for people that maybe didn't grow up with that or with that music, or maybe just weren't as aware of it, to be introduced to it. Like, there's a lot of kids out there that are wearing Ramones t-shirts and they don't really know why, and this is a fabulous opportunity to introduce that to a whole new generation of people.
Stana, how do you do? It's Rod here. Did you get a chance to meet any of the original performers? Did anybody come by the set, to say, oh yeah, you've got this exactly right, or anything like that?
Cheetah Chrome, who's played by Rupert Grint, came to set with his wife and child, and he and Genya, which is the character that I played, Genya is a fabulous performer and still sings throughout New York City. Became friends afterwards, and so it was quite nice to have him on set, because he would call Genya and tell her about some of the scenes that he remembered. He remembered being in the room when one thing or another had happened, and they were able to share a laugh over some of that, and it was sweet, and I was happy to know that everyone seemed just pleased by the result of the film.
Marvelous. And how about Alan Rickman? I mean, I've seen the trailer, and I mean, it's another amazing Alan Rickman performance, isn't it? He just disappears inside this man.
Yeah, no, he's fabulous. It's an honor, first of all, to work opposite someone like him. His resume is absolutely incredible, and he's so well committed to the performance, which is nice as his kind of partner in a scene, because you don't have to go anywhere else, because you have it all in the person that you're working opposite of. So it was quite sweet, and I was so pleased and honored to be able to just meet him and play around in his sandbox for a bit.
And, quite a departure from Castle, of course, to appear in a project like this. What did it do for your mindset to really change eras, to change in terms of the character that you were portraying?
Yeah, no, it was great. It was nice to shake it up a bit. I got to meet Genya. I traveled to New York for some work and got in touch with her and got to meet her, and she's fantastic. She's just an unapologetic woman, and she's either rocked out with or slept with the biggest and the best in the business, and she has fabulous stories, and it was really wonderful to meet someone like that has really lived and enjoyed a very colorful life. And it was just nice to shake it up. It's different from Castle, of course, but every actor is, I think, maybe I'm alone on this, but I don't think so, but most actors probably want to just try as many hats on as possible, and I'm one of those.
Because Castle has got a punishing schedule for you, generally, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very it's a very intense schedule. Yeah.
We'll get back to more of Castle in a second, but I would like to talk about the Alternative Travel Project as well, because that's what brought you here a couple of years ago. This is essentially a campaign which you were involved in, really trying to get people to leave their cars at home, to head to work either on public transport, maybe to spend a week using public transport, walking, running, whatever you could do, but to use a car. So how, since those early days, has the project developed?
I mean, it's grown. People write in and they tell us their stories constantly. The idea is, it's an initiative that's meant to encourage people to just step outside of the bubble of their car for one day. If everyone on the planet went car-free for just one day, that means that 11.7 million tons of carbon dioxide would be saved, which is the entire emissions equivalent of what Kenya, let's say, uses in a year. And that's just one day. So that means you wake up one day, and traditionally you'd get in the car, and maybe that day you say, you know what, I'm going to go and just walk to the grocery store, and then I'm going to walk to work, and then I'll walk to my cafe, and then I'll walk home. And doing that, I mean, has reverberating effects for the health, for a person's health, and for the environment, and also just for society as a whole. I think on a microcosmic level, you make value out of your local businesses and can help the community as well. So it started as an initiative, and it's inspired a lot of people. There have been people who have created, out of the UK, for instance, we had a really wonderful woman who created a whole school program, and has offered that up, and we'll be posting that on our site. We've put together videos. People send us their videos. People commit days without their car, and it seems silly perhaps in a place that is a little bit more advanced in their public transit. Really large cities like Paris and London and so on have fantastic public transit systems, but then when you come to Los Angeles, where we're still developing it and we're kind of revisiting the public transit system that we used to have, and people are demanding more of their transit systems and trying to create better and safer car lanes, or safer bike lanes, then it becomes something really extraordinary to give up your car for a day or for a few days or for a week, and to get to and from work and so on in that way. And it's quite nice, actually. I find it very inspiring as an actor. I've said that before.
It's actually become quite personal with you, though. There's a project in Romania,
yes.
for example, where they gave up just on a Friday at this particular place, and
yes.
It encouraged people to take the bus,
yes.
and actually resulted in 2 marriages of
yes.
people who met on the bus. And I mentioned the tweets earlier. I had a tweet from Andrea,
yes.
and she said that a baby has been born.
Oh my goodness!
Who is named Sophia, and is it true you're the godmother or going to be the godmother?
Wait, okay, so the story this is great. I didn't even know. Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations. The story is that there was a school in Romania that decided to take up the initiative, and they went car-free on Fridays. And as a result of that, a number of the people that worked at the school or participated in this started meeting on the bus, walking, and so on. And they kind of all revolved around the school in various ways. Well, 2 couples formed. One of the couples, in fact, had their first kiss on the bus. And these couples eventually got married. And they wrote these wonderful letters to me saying, thank you, because we ended up meeting because of this project. And they threatened to make me their godmother, and which was quite sweet, actually. It would have been an honor. And there you go. Now they have a baby. That's incredible. But see, this is the thing. It's we're taking in our city, we're taking in our world at a pace in which you can actually engage with other human beings. And that creates more value in your community. And that has reverberating effects again, you know? So that's quite lovely. Thank you for that. I didn't know. Woo.
That's a great story. What about bike lanes in Los Angeles and bike sharing schemes, Stana? I mean, are they showing themselves now? I mean, as much as they are in some other American cities like New York and Boston.
New York is fantastic for bike sharing. And Los Angeles is now catching on to a lot of it. You know, the Alternative Travel Project isn't Los Angeles exclusive, right? It's a global initiative, which is why we have responses from people in France and Saudi Arabia and Egypt and Belgium, and the list goes on, and all over the Americas. But in Los Angeles in specific, it's we have a fabulous opportunity of encouraging that kind of a lifestyle choice because we have access to this huge media source, which is film, television, and so on. And so, you know, if we have some of the writers from television riding the subway, maybe some of the stories that they tell will revolve around that kind of a lifestyle, and maybe that will affect the way people decide to do things in the future. I was traveling through Mongolia a while ago, and I couldn't get from one side of Ulaanbaatar to the other because the traffic was so, it was just thick. And there was an ambulance that I saw that needed to get across town, and it couldn't. And I thought this was really interesting because here was a city that was bursting at the seams. It was growing at a rate at which the infrastructure couldn't handle its growth. And it needed some sort of a mind to come in and create an opportunity that was sustainable so that people could get from one end of what was going to be a really thriving city in the east to the other. And it would require someone thinking of some sort of public transit so that this city could continue on the path that it was headed. And I think that us, the people that are storytellers here in Los Angeles, we create this story of, in order to have a successful and wonderful life, you have to have a really fabulous, luxurious car. But maybe what we can also tell, in addition to some of those stories, is that it's wonderful to engage with your community, and that actually ends up being a successful and wonderful life. That ends up being a luxury. Engaging with your community, meeting people, enjoying the space that you live in, the city that you live in, and not creating or adding to any of the pollutants, and maybe existing in a healthier way. That could be a part of the story that we're exporting from this kind of film and television space.
You're wonderful. What about car sharing? I mean, does that ever figure in your strategy here? Because I look at high occupancy vehicle lanes, diamond lanes in some American cities. They are remarkably empty.
Yeah, they are. For right now, what we've done is we've focused on non-benzene propelled ways of transport. So we're focusing on cycling, walking. We do public transit like subways and, of course, buses and so on. and people have sent us really neat videos about kayaking to work, where a girl was kayaking from one side of, I think, a lake in Michigan to the other side to go to work. And so there's a wonderful opportunity outside of using the car. And the idea is, I guess, in the end, which is a better way of saying it, is to step outside of the bubble of your car.
Yeah.
Let's just shift gears a little bit, because I mentioned Castle, and it would be nice in the few minutes that we have just to talk a little bit about the show that, of course, you are hugely famous for.
Right.
And we must bear in mind, of course, I think that UK viewers a little bit behind the US, although I know that the ardent fans are very much up with the latest storyline. And the key storyline, of course, featuring you and your character, has been a very modern-day dilemma: love and marriage and career.
Right.
And can you have it all? Was that quite a challenging storyline for you to approach?
The writers brought that up recently. We're, of course, in the US, we're entering into the 6th season, or have been showing some of the 6th season. And hello, UK. Thank you. I'm so glad to be able to chat with everyone out there, or before everyone out there, I suppose. The writers brought that up as kind of a conflict for this character, and I thought that was really interesting, because I think that is something that a lot of modern-day women deal with. And I see some women dealing with it so successfully, and I think, for instance, in what I do, there's amazing actresses that manage to have phenomenal careers, and also maintain a really beautiful kind of home life. One of the best examples, of course, is Meryl Streep, who has this wonderful family life. Of course, we're all looking at it externally, but she's been married to this gentleman for a long time and has had children with him, and has won Oscars while having children with him and being married and going through all of that, the courses, the ups and downs of that world. And I think that it is possible. I think that there doesn't have to be a compromise in one side versus the other. So I think what it proposed was something that maybe many women struggle with, but eventually find a solution to. And it's quite exciting to know that it is possible to have a family life and to have a relationship, a loving and kind and supportive relationship, and to have a fulfilling career at the same time.
And is it important to you as an actress to have these challenging storylines that are not superficial, that they actually resonate with people in real life?
Well, I never want to be didactic. I think that's, for me, not necessarily the way to go. But I do like things that I can jump into and believe. I have to believe it. And this is a story that we've built for a long time. We've always said that she's strong and that she's committed to justice. And it would seem strange that a person that defines themselves so clearly by those elements would suddenly let it all go and just be, the ingenue. It didn't seem like that was the character. And so when they proposed that, it made sense. And it's a real conflict. And I think that that's important. What the most important thing, I think, perhaps as an actor, is to have struggle, to be flawed as a character, and to perhaps not always have everything so black and white, but to live somewhere in the gray and just be human for a while. Those are the most interesting characters to play, I think. Can I say, I would really love to work in the theatre in England. I know that this is completely out of nowhere, but I've been talking with friends for ages now, and I said I would really love to go to England and work in the theatre.
If there are any agents listening?
It's so terrible, it feels like a plug.
Please get in touch. Yes. Thank you, Stana. It's lovely.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Rod.
And yes, once again, Stana Katic wants to work in England, so Kevin Spacey, are you listening?